CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. We begin with breaking news. Moments ago, President Biden announced that the U.S. has helped broker a ceasefire deal. It's between Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon to end the fighting there. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand has the latest details from the White House.
Make a big difference in saving lives and livelihoods in Lebanon and in Israel.
A U.S. official tells CBS News the deal will be implemented immediately, but in phases, giving Israel 60 days permitted for the withdrawal of its forces. Israel and Lebanon must formally approve the agreement. Even as negotiations continued Tuesday, an Israeli airstrike hit a residential building in Beirut. Lebanon's health ministry says attacks have killed more than 3,500 people since fighting started and displaced more than 1 million. On the Israeli side, about 90 soldiers and nearly 50 civilians have been killed in the north and tens of thousands displaced.
The Biden administration hopes a ceasefire deal in Lebanon could provide momentum for ending the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza.
By de-escalating tensions in the region, it can also help us to end the conflict in Gaza. In particular, Hamas will know that it can't count on other fronts opening up in the war.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the administration is in communication with the incoming Trump administration and hopes continuity leads to peace and security in the region. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
At this hour, a driver who was shot on I-95 is still recovering. Police are trying to figure out who shot at her vehicle. As CBS News Miami's Peter Dench reports, police are looking for a particular car.
The Florida Highway Patrol tells us a woman who was shot is in critical condition, and they are asking for the public's help in this case. FHP says it all happened around 7 Monday night when she was driving southbound on I-95 near Northwest 135th Street when at least one shot was fired that struck her.
Station 19, there is a female shot in a black Lexus southbound just before 103rd Street.
We're going to have one adult trauma alert, GSW to the neck. We're going to be ground transporting down to Ryder.
She was traveling southbound on I-95 in a black Lexus SUV. She was shot at from another vehicle. She was struck with a bullet and sustained a gunshot wound.
Any idea why this happened?
At this time, we don't have any idea why. We're investigating the scene. Well, any time that there is a shooting on any street and someone is injured, it is of great concern, not only a concern to our community, for also law enforcement who is here to protect the public. Someone must have seen something, and someone may have information that could lead to an arrest.
Trooper Joe Sanchez told me that FHP is looking for a white Honda sedan. If you can help, call FHP or Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. In Miami, Peter Dench, CBS News, Miami.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
Taking a live look at downtown Miami, a beautiful day across South Florida, and if you like the cooler weather, we've got some of that on the way too. And today we welcome the newest member of our CBS News Miami family, Next Weather meteorologist Shane Hinton. Shane, welcome to the team. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Naja. I am ecstatic to be here. My reunion here in South Florida. I lived here for 7 years prior, attending the University of Miami, and let me tell you, I missed weather just like this. But we've got some changes on the way. Let's talk about them. We've got some isolated fog that could start to develop as early as tonight into early tomorrow morning, but overall a fairly warm and quiet Thanksgiving forecast for us here locally. However, that will change as we have not one but two cold fronts on the way for later this week. Let's take a look at what we're currently dealing with. Very seasonable conditions, lower 80s in Miami, upper 70s in Homestead, and even upper 70s out in Key West. Quiet radar for us, and that will continue through the evening and overnight hours. As you can see, hourly forecast has us back down to the mid 70s by dinner time. If you have any outdoor dining plans or maybe you're going to that happy hour, should be good to go. As we head through the overnight hours, we'll stay fairly mild, partly cloudy skies, and fairly calm winds. Now that's going to play a key factor in regard to that fog formation I was talking about. Overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, upper 60s in Miami, but a tad cooler as you make your way to Kendall. As you zoom out even further, you'll see we'll stay in the lower 70s as you make your way toward the Keys. Now let's talk about that fog formation. Mostly going to be impacting my locations a little bit further inland. as you can see, down to 9 miles of visibility in Kendall, 7 miles in Homestead. Still fairly clear in Miami by tomorrow at 5 a.m. But if you are heading out the door, heading into work, maybe around 7 o'clock, notice that we've got some locally dense fog closer to Lake Okeechobee. But as we make our way closer to the coast, still fairly clear conditions, but you might have to deal with a little bit of patchy fog for that morning commute. So just want to make you aware of that for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, let's walk you through that hourly planner. You'll notice by 9 o'clock, sunny and 75. And then as we head into the afternoon, well, mostly clear conditions. Temperatures still peaking in the lower 80s, which is once again in the ballpark we typically play in this time of the year. Area-wide, you'll see lower 80s across the board, maybe upper 70s in the Keys, but overall a fairly seasonable and quiet day for for South Florida rather. As we take a look at Central Florida and also really the entire state of Florida, you'll notice a fairly calm weather pattern, but notice changes come Friday. That's going to be when we start to see that cold front moving through. I don't see any problems for that Thanksgiving travel, though, getting to your destination. Thanksgiving here locally going to be pretty quiet, lower to mid 80s, so it will be a warm turkey day for us. You'll notice that trend will continue as we close out the week, but then our first cold front arrives late Friday, and then as we make our way into the weekend, that's when a second cold front arrives, and that's going to bring some much cooler temperatures. Afternoon highs are actually going to return to the mid 70s by the beginning of next week, and if you take a look at the tropics, well, not a lot to talk about as we close out the season in just the next several days. As we take a look at your 7-day forecast, you will notice that we are going to be warming up through Black Friday, but then we will cool down as we head into the beginning of next week. Naja?
Looks like a great few days ahead. Shane, thank you. Now at 4, traffic citations against Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill have been dropped. It happened when the police officer who cited him failed to show up in court. On the morning of the team's first game in September, Hill was handcuffed and pinned to the ground outside of Hard Rock Stadium. He was cited for careless driving and a seatbelt violation. Several teammates showed up at the scene and Hill was eventually released, but his controversial detainment went viral, and there were calls to fire the officers involved. We'll hear from some of the players about this latest development tonight at 5. An early morning fire in Davey has turned deadly. Police say one person was killed as the flames destroyed their home. CBS News Miami's Ted Scouten reports.
The call of the fatal fire came in just after 6 this morning in the 4800 block of Southwest 76th Avenue in Davey. That's just south of Griffin Road. From Chopper 4, you can see smoke billowing from an outbuilding on the property. Investigators say it appears there were living quarters inside. Fire crews got the fire out pretty quickly as they learned someone may have been trapped inside. That's when they made the tragic discovery. One person was dead. Davey police are assisting the fire marshal trying to determine what caused this fire.
That was CBS News Miami's Ted Scouten reporting. This afternoon, we are working to learn what sparked an overnight house fire in Brownsville. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue tells us the call came in around 1 this morning. This is along Northwest 61st Street and 23rd Avenue. Fire Rescue tells us they found one victim trapped inside the bathroom. They also located another victim. They were both taken to the hospital. The neighbor who lives in the duplex said she woke up to the smell of heavy smoke, went outside and saw her neighbor trying to get her son out of the burning home, so she jumped in to help.
I opened the first door and I just pushed the other one and come open. So she ran inside to trying to get him out, but he's very big. He's autistic. He's like 23 years old boy, so she cannot pull it out, but she tried and she burned over herself, and the police making her run out again, and we wait for like 10 minutes, the fire and extinction come and all that, and they pull her out finally, so he's fighting for her life now. She burned and they take her to the hospital.
Both residents made it out alive. There were 3 cats in the home as well. Unfortunately, only one of them survived. The Red Cross is helping the family. Danger on duty in Bell Harbor. Rescue officials say a construction worker was badly hurt after he fell off a ladder. Chopper 4 over the scene of the construction site. This is along 96th Street and Collins Avenue. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue shared this video of crews using special equipment to rescue the worker from the 2nd floor. The worker was taken to the hospital by air rescue. No word yet on their condition. There is a new weapon in the fight against phone scammers, and it comes in the form of a digital grandma. We'll explain when we come back. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. President-elect Donald Trump is threatening to use tariffs as a way to help stop the flow of illegal drugs and migrants into the United States. Trump posted about his plan the same day that the Justice Department special counsel moved to drop 2 federal cases against him. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brandt has the latest from the White House.
Making good on a campaign promise, President-elect Donald Trump threatened on social media that one of his first executive orders will be to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States. He also says he'll charge China an additional 10% tariff. Trump says he's putting pressure on these countries to stop the flow of drugs such as fentanyl and migrants from coming across the border.
The question really is, how big are these tariffs going to be? Because this is the first salvo. It could be a negotiation. We don't know for sure.
Canadian officials say they will discuss the issues with the incoming administration.
Mexico's president also said she was willing to talk, but suggested Tuesday that Mexico could respond with tariffs of its own. And a Chinese embassy official warned that no one will win a trade or tariff war.
The president-elect notched a big legal win Monday after the Justice Department special counsel effectively dropped 2 high-profile cases against him. Jack Smith says that Trump's re-election means he cannot be tried on charges that he plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
The dismissal is not because they don't stand behind the evidence, they feel it's strong, but because the Constitution mandates that they cannot prosecute a sitting president.
Smith also asked a federal appeals court to remove Trump as a defendant in the classified documents case in Florida, which is currently being appealed. Trump called the cases political hijacking. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Now to a consumer alert. There's a new weapon in the fight against phone scammers, and it comes in the form of a digital grandmother with the gift of gab. CBS News Miami's Tina Krause explains.
When scammers come calling, an English grandma named Daisy always picks up.
And let's face it, dear, I've got all the time in the world.
The AI-generated bot flips the script on fraudsters, tying them up in endless chatter.
So W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
Wasting their time and sometimes making them snap.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
She's the newest member of the fraud prevention team at Virgin Media O2 in London.
I'm your worst nightmare.
The reason why we used AI is because it doesn't sleep, it doesn't eat, you can use it 24 hours a day, and it's a great use case to really demonstrate some of these tactics that the scammers do to keep them on the line.
Can you tell me your bank number?
Oh, I appreciate that, dear. You sound so lovely, but you know, I've always been taught to be careful with my information.
Her creators say Daisy has taken more than 1,000 calls with scammers since she debuted earlier this month.
It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
The longest lasted about 40 minutes.
It's nearly been an hour. For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid...
Got it, dear.
The company hopes Daisy's distracting dialogue will keep fraudsters tied up and out of time to target someone else. Tina Krause, CBS News, London.
The Miami Dolphins take on the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving night. Before the game, catch the Mike McDaniel Show at 7 p.m. That is followed by the Nat Moore Trophy preview at 7:30 p.m. Then after the game, the 5th quarter on CW Miami 33. And that's your CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a great day.